Tee Higgins, you, sir, are a future New England Patriot. What's going on, football fans, Pats Nation? It's Mitch here to explain why Tee Higgins to the Patriots is not only likely, it's the most likely trade to happen when it comes to Tee Higgins getting traded during the 2024 NFL Draft. And in this video, I will explain why the Patriots are about to strike for a franchise wide receiver in Tee Higgins. Higgins has officially requested a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. We thought for a while that he might get traded, right? But then all of a sudden the Bengals are like, nah, we want to keep you. But now it appears that both Tee Higgins and Trey Hendrickson want to be traded from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now this could just be pressure on the Bengals to actually buck up, to pay the man in Tee Higgins. And maybe Joe Burrow will make the call and say, hey, pay my guy. Pay my guy. But if Joe Burrow does not do that, the Patriots have an opportunity to make a big-time splash with pick number 34 in the 2024 NFL Draft, that being their second-round pick. This could be the pick that gets them Tee Higgins. It could also be the pick that gets them a rookie wide receiver to pair with Drake May as their quarterback with the third overall selection. Everyone thinks right now that Drake May will be picked with the third overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. That the Patriots will stick and pick. That they will stay put at number 3 and take their franchise quarterback. But one thing they're missing is a franchise wide receiver, a go-to guy for Drake May. And they could land that with the second round selection. The 34th pick would be plenty for Tee Higgins. I don't think he's going to garner a first round pick. I think a second round pick, especially a high one, would be plenty for Tee Higgins. When you consider his productivity, when you consider his role in Cincinnati, when you consider his draft capital in the first place, when you consider how people view him in the NFL, they likely view him as a low-end number 1, a high-end 1B, and a guy that, yes, can be a wide receiver 1, but for a large portion of his career has acted as the 2 to Jamar Chase. So I don't think he is going to get as much as Brandon Ayuk on the open market. I don't think he's viewed the same way. I don't think that he is the after-the-catch specialist or the route runner that Brandon Ayuk is. Now, could Brandon Ayuk also be a possibility for the Patriots? Absolutely. But this is why I actually think Tee Higgins is a great fit for the Patriots and Drake May, especially. Tee Higgins is a big-bodied wide receiver, a guy that can go up and win a 50-50 ball. And Drake May is going to be a passer that gets the ball down the field. In this Patriot offense, he's going to throw the ball vertical. And Tee Higgins is not exactly the fastest receiver in the world, but he is an excellent 50-50 catcher. He is an excellent downfield receiver. He is a high yards per reception target. And he is the type of guy that makes your quarterback right. He's a guy that's always open because he uses his body, his leverage, his body control to contort and catch footballs at awkward angles, to catch back shoulders. He is the type of guy that would fit very well for Drake May because of his size, because of his catch radius, because of his hands. I think all those things would make him a great wide receiver 1 for Drake May. The Patriots have plenty of cap space, so I wouldn't be worried about paying him here or for the future. Tee Higgins is young and fits the timeline of what New England is looking for in a wide receiver. And given the Patriots' draft history at drafting wide receiver, which feels like it's been cursed, Tee Higgins is a proven target, a proven wide receiver, a proven NFL player at this position. And that's what the Patriots need more than anything. So Tee Higgins with pick 34 makes a lot of sense. On top of that, when you look at the landscape of teams that could actually trade for Tee Higgins, there's only one other team that really stands out to me. Maybe two. The Cardinals are no longer in this discussion because it appears 100% that they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. If they do not and somehow trade back, maybe they're back in this Tee Higgins discussion with pick 27. But if you rule the Cardinals out with them picking Marvin Harrison, the Buffalo Bills don't really have a move here or a play here, despite trading Stephon Diggs and maybe on the prowl for a wide receiver. They're back end of the first round. Sure, they have a earlier pick than the Patriots in terms of that range, but do they actually want to trade their number one receiver and then trade for another receiver and pay that receiver after letting go of Stephon Diggs due to not only off the field, but also cap space? They probably want to go young at wide receiver in terms of they want that rookie contract, right? So the Patriots are looking for a proven guy. The Bills are looking for a young guy for the cap space. The Patriots have cap space. The Bills don't, right? So that's a key difference there. Then you have the Carolina Panthers, a team that, yes, Tee Higgins from Clemson, obvious connection there, and the Panthers love to sign guys from Carolina. We've seen that all offseason. But they already spent capital on Deontay Johnson. So are they really going to do it again? I don't think so, right? They probably already explored this possibility. Then you're talking about the Indianapolis Colts, a team that there's been a lot of buzz and rumors that they could potentially move up for a wide receiver in the 2024 NFL Draft. Rome Odunze being one of them, a similar type of receiver to Tee Higgins, maybe a little bit more of a trajectory to be big time in the NFL, a true elite player. But the Colts already spent a ton of money on Michael Pittman. So are they going to do that in two wide receivers? That's not really Chris Ballard's way of thinking or way of doing. So I could see them maybe trading up for Odunze or for Brock Bowers, but maybe not going out of their way to trade for a veteran who they have to pay, right? But the other team that does stand out as competition to the Patriots is Jacksonville. And the reason I say that is, despite signing Gabriel Davis, a big wide receiver target for the perimeter of their offense, which might be the reason they don't get Tee Higgins because they've already spent money there, Trevor Lawrence, Tee Higgins, obvious college connection. That's Trevor Lawrence's guy, right? So if Trevor Lawrence really wants Tee Higgins, he'll tell Doug Peterson, who will convince the general manager, convince the front office to make that move. And that's entirely possible. But it would have to be some sort of combination and likely involve pick number 17. Because if it doesn't involve pick number 17, the Bengals are more likely to go with the Patriots offer for pick number 34, right? So the Patriots feel like the most likely destination, with Jacksonville maybe having that quarterback to receiver connection and Tee Higgins wanting to go to Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence trying to entice Jacksonville to make that move. But Gabriel Davis was signed for a reason. They have Evan Ingram. They have Christian Kirk. They've spent a lot of money into that position already. New England hasn't. New England does not have a premier guy. They don't have a guy like Christian Kirk. They don't have a highly paid tight end like Evan Ingram. So, to me, New England makes the most sense. They have the capital, they have the need, and they have a young quarterback that will need a receiver of this archetype. And it's unlikely that they're actually going to get that type of player at 34 unless somebody falls to them. That they're truly confident can step in day one and be productive. And Tee Higgins can be that guy. When you're talking about Tee Higgins, I think you're talking about a top 24 receiver in the NFL. To be comfortable, top 25, right? I don't think you're talking about a top 10 receiver. I think you've seen him play at a top 20 level, a top 15 level over the past couple of years. But given his, injury history, kind of like nagging injuries throughout his young career, given his production, given his role as a 1B to the 1A of Jamar Chase, I think he would land him somewhere in that top 20, top 24 range. Right? He has 2 1,000-yard seasons in 4 years. And he's only really been limited in terms of production due to injury. He only played 11 starts last year, 12 games, but he had 656 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was really, really good in the game that they played New England a couple of years ago, if you might recall there. But he's been really good for Joe Burrow. He's been a key part of this Bengals kind of resurgence and surge up the NFL rankings. And he was a key part in them getting to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. He's a really talented player, and he's still very young. He's only 24 right now. He just turned 25 in January, right? So he's going to be 25 this year. That's really young. There's prospects in the NFL draft that are 24, 25. So Tee Higgins is still extremely young, already proven multi-1,000-yard receiver, and a guy that fits the skill set of a perimeter wide receiver target that New England desperately needs. So it makes all the sense in the world that there are not a lot of teams out there right now that can actually afford Tee Higgins from a cap standpoint, from a draft capital standpoint, from a need standpoint. There's not a lot of teams that the Bengals would actually be willing to trade Tee Higgins to. And given the Patriots' landscape right now and where they belong in the NFL kind of hierarchy of the AFC, the Bengals wouldn't mind sending Tee Higgins to New England. They don't want to send him to Buffalo. They don't want to send him to Kansas City. They don't want to send him to a team that's really competing in the AFC, certainly not the Steelers, the Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, teams in their division. So, like, you limit the list, right? Maybe Jacksonville, right? Maybe Indy. But, like, are those teams going to be willing to make that move? Maybe Tee Higgins would like to go back home to Carolina, but they already spent for Deontay Johnson. So you just continue to think about the possible situations and solutions. The Giants are likely going to pick a receiver in the first round. The Cardinals are likely going to pick a receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., as they should. So where does that really lie in terms of the rest of the NFL teams? Like, I don't think San Francisco would be interested because, you know, if they trade Brandon Ayuk, why would they just immediately replace him with a receiver that's going to make a lot of money? Just sign Brandon Ayuk, right? I don't think Kansas City's going to be interested. Maybe they would be, but I don't think the Bengals would be interested in giving them Tee Higgins. So, like, you just continue to go through it. Like, there's so many teams. You could go through each and every depth chart. The Cowboys don't have the money. They might want a Tee Higgins, but they don't have the money. Washington doesn't really need a receiver. They have a lot of other needs that they could spend on. Just go each and every team. Like, Chicago already traded for Keenan Allen. Minnesota has receivers. Green Bay has receivers. You just keep going down each and every team. The Raiders have receivers. Like, each and every team, the Titans already signed Calvin Ridley. This is another linking point to Tee Higgins. The Patriots were that number 2 team. They were right behind the Titans. And Ridley chose the Titans over the Patriots because of location, because of money, because of contract, for a variety of reasons. But the Patriots were really close, and we've heard a lot of rumors about New England wanting to trade for a veteran receiver or signing a veteran receiver. So Tee Higgins is next up. And you can make many arguments, given the age, that Tee Higgins is more valuable than Calvin Ridley. And you might actually be able to sign him to a little bit less because he's not on the open market. So, yeah, man, this just makes too much sense. So if Tee Higgins does get traded, which I'm not 100% sure he will, because I think the Bengals are going to fight their butts off to keep him because they are in the Super Bowl window. If he does get traded, there's a short list of teams that I think will actually be interested. I think Jacksonville will be interested. I think Carolina will be interested. I think Buffalo might make a call, and I think Indy might think about it. But I think the Patriots ultimately are the team that make the most sense. So Tee Higgins, welcome to the New England Patriots. Thanks for watching. Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. More NFL draft stuff coming, guys. Tune in Thursday night to my NFL draft coverage live on The Bottom Line View. Peace.